I need another drink of wine.
I think I do too. Okay.
Okay.
I am here today with Melissa Lummis.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right?
You're saying it right.
I've spent days with her, and I'm not real sure about her last name. What does that say? And we're going to talk about her book, Enlightened. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's on Amazon right now, right?
Amazon.com.
But it'll be in Barnes & Noble and in paperback soon.
Yes.
Right?
It's in iBooks and it's on Smashwords.
Okay.
The holdout is the paperback, and this is actually the proof copy.
She's working assiduously on the proof copy.
When I'm not drinking wine.
Yes, I can testify to that. So first, why don't you just tell us about yourself and about your writing journey?
Oh, wow. Okay. I've always been a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when I was in first grade and I wrote something that I was very proud of, and my first grade teacher actually wrote on it, someday you're going to be a writer. And I looked at my mom and I said, I already am a writer. And she had to explain to me, well, what she means, blah, blah, blah. But that actually had a huge impact. So, don't take it. Kids need that encouragement.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think when somebody tells you that you can, it's almost like they're giving you permission.
Yes, exactly.
Because some of us believe that we can't do what we want unless we have permission to do it.
And then when did you kind of decide that you were going to go ahead and jump out there and get published?
Well, I've been writing, like I've told you this weekend, that all my life. But what made me decide to go ahead and self-publish was, believe it or not, my grandmother, who actually has a big influence on the story itself, she passed away in January. And it was very tough on me because I didn't realize until she was gone that she was my touchstone. She's, once or twice a week I'd call her and talk recipes, and we'd have a cup of tea over the phone. And what I realized after she passed, what I was doing was just kind of recalibrating, kind of resetting. It was always something that would really... If things were getting edgy, if I was getting anxious about whatever was going on, I could talk to her, and it just made me kind of reset.
Right.
So when she passed away, I was in the middle of writing this book, actually. I had gotten probably about 40% into the book by Christmas before she passed away. And when she died, I realized she's never going to read it. And that really upset me. But instead of wallowing in that, I decided, well, get it published. And I started looking into the independent publishing option. And as I have always said, the universe conspires to help an adventurer. I I had already known this lady, but I really got to sit down and talk to her, a gal named Christine, who had just published her book. And she introduced me to a writing group online, which is how we met. And that's pretty much the beginning of the writing, really getting serious. And from the time that happened, that was February or March, until Enlightened came out, which is the end of October, was what, 8 months?
Yeah.
So
it's very quick.
It was very quick because I hadn't even finished the first draft yet. So that's how I got started.
Fabulous. So the book is called Enlightened, and it's a tale of love and light. So tell us what love and light embodies. What does that mean, and how does it relate to the book?
Okay, well, tell a little bit about myself, which you asked me to do before, and I didn't. But
Sure you did. There's a lot to know.
I'm a certified yoga teacher, and I've spent the last 10 years, part of that getting my certification in yoga, and the rest of that teaching yoga. And in the healing community, love and light is a term. Actually, you'll hear Reiki practitioners, if you ever heard of Reiki. It's an energetic healing practice. They don't actually touch you, but they use energy to help heal what's wrong with your body. And the concept of love and light, it's actually, you hear it bantered around. People will say, love and light to you, that kind of thing. But really what it means and what it comes from is that the ultimate healing process is about loving yourself. And once you're able to love yourself, you are capable of loving others. And we as light beings are healed by that process. There's also the concept of energy centers in our body called chakras, which is in this book, that when they're all balanced and when they're spinning the way they're supposed to be all colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And when you blend all those colors, you get white. light, and it's all light. And there's this concept that we are light beings, that we're all made out of light. So the story of love and light is a story of healing and finding our true selves,
finding the light
within
yourself,
and that you are light. You are the light.
Right.
Makes sense?
It does. Yes, I'm fascinated by it, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we talked about that today. Oh, this one's fun.
Okay.
So I'm from the Gulf Coast, Texas Gulf Coast, and we have hurricane parties. So if we know a hurricane's coming, we all get together and hunker down in a house and have a party to weather the storm. So you're having a hurricane party. Which one of your characters has to be there?
Okay, the one who has to be there is Fiamet.
Oh, yes!
Because Fiamet is who you want to party with.
Yes, she is.
She is an integral part of the story. There's so much more to learn about her, and there will be more in the second and the third book. This is a trilogy. But there will be a spin-off.
Yes.
That is going to be a novella series.
I've already read some of it.
And she's going to have her own thing. And Fiamet is the party girl.
Yes, she is.
But she's also, at first you think you're not going to like her.
Right.
But bear with it. Yeah, she's kind of standoffish. She's a catty bitch.
Yeah, she is.
Can I say that?
Sure you can.
But you're going to find out more about her, and actually she becomes one of the more interesting characters and the person you want to go to a hurricane party with.
She is. I had no idea who you were going to pick.
Yeah.
There are so many great characters. I had no idea who you were going to pick.
My second would be Michael.
Okay.
And he's I mean, he's kind of got a bit part in it, but he's going to have more.
He'll be more important
in the future. I know these characters so well. They take showers with me. They take long baths with me. Long walks in the rain with me.
Yes.
But Michael is also somebody you want to party with.
Okay. You already talked about how important your Nan is. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how she is integral in your book and kind of how she's embodied in your book?
Her personality comes into this, and her character and what she taught me comes into this book in two ways. One, you'll hear a character named Katie Brown, who is Rachel's grandmother, who she calls Nanny. And that's what I called my grandmother, Nan or Nanny. And the relationship between Rachel and her grandmother kind of mimics the relationship between me and my grandmother, that she was always paying attention. She would notice when something was out of whack. I didn't have to say anything, and she'd say, "What's going on?"
She knew.
She just knew. She was also a very wise woman and was always taking care of everybody. So you'll see that a lot in Katie Brown, how she's
like that.
Yeah, she's trying to, and successfully, take care of a lot of people. She just has that knack. And my grandmother did too. And she also would see a problem, and instead of judging the person for getting into that bad situation, she would say, "Okay, now here's how we go forward. Here's how we fix it." She didn't focus on, "You made a mistake, and how could you do that?"
How you got there. It's just about how you're gonna get out.
How do we move forward? The other thing is, you have to kind of pay attention, but there's Loti's grandmother is also based on my grandmother, and you get a very subtle kind of information about her, about how she helped Loti deal with some things that happened, and then later on Loti goes through what's called a vision quest, and her grandmother appears in that. So those are all fed by
your Nan,
my Nan, and experiences I had with her. And you'll see when Loti has her vision quest, there's actual things from my childhood in that. It's like everybody always asks, "Is this about you?" And it's like, it's not about me, but it definitely has me in it.
Right. It's flavored with you.
How could it not?
Exactly.
It's my brain and its twistedness.
You have a different perspective on villains. So tell us a little bit about what that idea is and how you relate it to your book.
Okay. Try not to go on for hours on this. I think that it's real easy to say, here's a bad guy and he's evil and he just is greedy or selfish and he just wants to do whatever it is that makes his life better. But as we just saw Skyfall, with James Bond, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but you really get to kind of delve into what the makings of evil, the makings of a bad guy. I think the most interesting villains are the ones who you can relate to and say, wow, would I have made the same decisions?
Right.
Would I be in the same place? Would what that guy went through drive me that insane?
Right.
And turn me to the dark side?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody who, speaking of the dark side, who loves Star Wars and those issues knows that there's often a story behind how they got there.
Yeah. It's a fascinating study.
Yeah. And it's human psychology and the level of, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Right.
You know, and that's where I find the most interesting villains, when you're almost like, oh my God, you know, he's so horrible and he's doing such horrible things, but could I have ended up there?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what I want people to ask themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's really interesting, your characters are all very complex. And, you know, even Loti and Wolf, there are times when I say,
right,
I do not like you at all. What is wrong with you? So, but that's people. That's, you know, that's, you have people in your life that you can love to pieces, and they can drive you insane by their life choices.
Right. And you get to peek into their heads in a book in a way that I can't peek into your head.
Yes.
Or you can't peek into my head and see. But we're all having these thoughts that if people knew about them, would be like, but also deep down inside we go, yeah, I have those thoughts too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Wolf. I mean, you were saying to me earlier how he's edgy.
He is. I wasn't sure at first whether he was supposed to be a good or bad guy.
Right.
You know, when he was introduced at the beginning, I wasn't sure if that was, you know, what his role was.
And something that, this is just a little sneak preview, I get into more in the next book is how, and I think this is what vampires are in our literature traditions, or what Bram Stoker might have brought into this, is that they're kind of intense view of our own yin yang of the you know, fighting the darkness or not fighting the darkness, you know, being completely taken over by it. And the vampires you meet in Enlightened are sort of kind of enlightened vampires.
Right.
They have disciplined themselves and practiced to get above their dark side, which is harder for them than, say, the average human. So later on, again, in other books, I'll play more on that, but that's what I wanted you to see in Wolf, is that there's a dark side and there's a struggle, but that doesn't mean he can't be a hero too.
Yes.
Some
of the best heroes are flawed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, now for another fun snippet. Rachel and Loti are good friends, and they've known each other for a long time.
Right. Since
you
college.
and I have not known each other that long.
No.
But we're best friends in some way. And so you have given me this fabulous shirt that says, "Don't break."
I don't know what that was, sweetie.
It says, "Witches bend it best."
Yep, and I've got one too.
So tell us what that's about.
Okay, there's a scene, it's fairly early on, so I'm not giving anything away by saying this, where Rachel, Loti spends the night at Rachel's house, and Rachel comes into the room in the morning, and she's wearing an oversized black t-shirt that says, "Witches bend it best." And I put that in as a little after thing. This was even after you had seen what I was writing. I put it in later.
Yes, because it wasn't in the original.
It wasn't in there. This is my little shout out to your first book, Which Way Bends. And instead of just like having her put a t-shirt on that says Which Way Bends, I thought I'd be a little clever and take that title and say Witches Bend It Best.
It's awesome. Because we do bend it best.
And when I was coming here, I was like, I've got to have these to give it to you. This was your birthday present.
It was my birthday present, yeah. Woohoo!
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
2 days, 3 days? How far down the road are we?
I don't know. We've been together a while, so I've lost track. Is there anything else you want to say?
Just thank you very much for the interview. This has been fun.
I know.
And cheers. Here's to both of us and all of us and everybody out there. Namaste. Love and light.
Yes, love and light. Thank you, guys.